Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Little Saturday checkdown edition of Purple Daily here. Some spillover feedback Friday. The last weekend until NFL football, Vikings football. And then we'll have a glorious 4-month run. Maybe longer. We'll see. See if the Vikings can do some damage in January. But if you haven't jumped on board with Underdog Fantasy yet, boy, you're missing out on some fun stuff this football season, Dex.
Yeah, they even have pick-em options for week 1 going in for this for a week from now. So if you're looking at Vikings and Giants, you want to make some slips now, you want to lock in those picks, you absolutely can do that at Underdog Fantasy, which is the best and easiest way to play fantasy sports. Higher or lower, you can draft daily and weekly fantasy leagues. You got baseball on there. You have NBA and NHL that are coming up too. And right now, when you go to UnderdogFantasy.com or use the mobile app, and you register for the first time with promo code SCORE, users will receive a 50% deposit match and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So go to Underdog Fantasy, go down the app, and send me those winning slips. I'd love to highlight them throughout the week. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring us on Purple Daily.
Yeah. So all right, let's get to just a few leftover Feedback Friday questions from you guys. You always send in fun, entertaining takes and theories and questions. You can send us stuff via the feedback tab inside the Score North app. That's the best way to email the show. Tim Hamill says, hope this email finds you significantly better than I'm feeling right now after listening to Bill Simmons and Cousin Sal's NFC Over Under podcast. Bill and Sal gave listeners a recommendation. Bet on whoever loses the Week 1 Vikings-Giants game to be the last winless team in the league. Bill Simmons says if the Vikings lose to that Giants team, the Vikings won't win another game until Week 9 against the Colts. Ouch. Also, their favorite bet for the NFC North is the 1st through 4th place in order of Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings at 6-1. I know this is a transitional season. Our schedule is brutal, and there aren't many Sam Darnold defenders in the national media, but yikes. Bill and Sal just crushed the little bit of optimism I had for this year. I wasn't thinking playoffs, but I also wasn't thinking this was going to be an 0-8 start. Sports Dad, can you calm Tim at all or no?
Oh, of course I can. Yeah, and look, their schedule is tough. And you are probably going to find that in the majority in the first half of the season, they are rarely, if ever, going to be favored in games. That being said, one is I'm not completely sold that the Bears are going to be great or significantly improved. Now, they might be, their defense is good, but they have a rookie quarterback. That's a dicey proposition. Perhaps he's unbelievable. I don't know. But I would caution assuming that the Bears are going to be this juggernaut team and the Vikings have no chance of being third. The other thing, too, is this league is weird. Weird things happen every year. We see teams, oh, they're going to suck. They pop up. Oh, they're going to be great. They go down. So I am not, when you look at what this team has on defense and offensive skill position players and an offensive line that I do not think is a disaster by any means, 2 really good tackles. Yeah, if Darnold stinks, it's a problem, but it's not like the infrastructure around him is awful. So I am much more hopeful for this year. More importantly, Sports Dad, much more hopeful for the future. I think this is a building block. There have been years where I've been like, this is going to suck. This is not one of those years, in my opinion. But the national media hates this team because when you look at it, yeah, you're saying, oh, they're going to stink. But that's a national perspective.
I do think the Giants actually have a legitimate case to go 0-17. I really do. I think I think number one, I think they will be the worst team in football this year. Whether they obviously if they're going 0-17, they will, but I do think they'll probably end up with the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And that roster's not good. Daniel Jones stinks. Love me some Drew Lock. He's my guy, but let's be honest, that's not going to get you any wins either. I think the Giants are going to be a disaster. Now, to Bill's point, the Vikings need to win that game because they will be underdogs, or at least not the favorites in the next 7 after that. But I think the Giants actually have a much, much more horrible roster on paper than the Vikings have a much better roster than the Giants. So
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all.
And Vegas agrees because right now on ESPN Bet, the Vikings are 1-point favorites on the road, which means like generally there's probably a 3-ish point home field advantage, right? So Vegas is saying essentially the roster is, even with Sam Darnold at quarterback, about 4 points better against the Giants on a neutral field. So, right, 3-4 points better. Interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, it is a tough schedule, but San Francisco, so Trent Williams is aging and holding out still.
Some weird vibes in San Francisco.
Yeah, McCaffrey has not been 100%. They did just get Brandon Ayuk. He finally agreed to that 4-year contract. And then Houston, but those are home games. You get San Francisco and Houston not on the road. You get them at home. At Green Bay, obviously, if it's the Green Bay team from the second half of last year, that's a really tough game. The Jets, neutral site, Aaron Rodgers, 40 years old, that game doesn't scare me at all whatsoever, unless he stays healthy and is playing at that level. But even the last year in Green Bay, a couple of years ago, he was not the same Aaron Rodgers. So, but then you get bye week Detroit and the Rams, a really well-coached, feisty Colts team. We'll see what their quarterback situation looks like around that point. At Jacksonville. So, yeah, I mean, even 3 months after the schedule came out, there's a couple games where I would say, that San Francisco game is more gettable on paper than it was maybe 3 weeks ago. But if you can come out of the first 8 games, even 3-5, and then get to like the Tennessees, the Bears a couple times, the Cardinals. But yeah, that at Seattle game is never easy in December. It's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet.
And this league is based on close games too. I mean, 2022 and 23 are perfect examples, right? The Vikings won a ton of the close games in 22. Mm-hmm. They lost a ton of the close games last year. Can you win the close games? The one thing where I think the national press, though, and I'm not bagging on national podcasts. They're great. There's some great ones. But the reality is these people are trying to talk about 32 teams. And so they look at things like quarterback. Oh, Darnold's the quarterback. He sucks. Okay, yeah, he has for the most part. So, ergo, the Vikings are going to be bad. But then they're like, well, and the defense is questionable. I look at the defense and I'm like, I don't think it's questionable. I think it's going to be good. And I don't think that you can sell a team short that has a number of skill position players who are either stars or really good at what they do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if guys get hurt, the Vikings are screwed. But if you said, hey, PD guys, do an NFL preview tomorrow and look at all 32 teams, we're going to be talking out of our behinds on many of those teams, right? Like we'll look at quarterbacks. Yeah. We'll look at, so I just urge people not to be confused by the fact that people are doing their job sometimes, but they don't have time to go to practices, delve into it, which is why I think that this show is a public service because we do that and we should do that.
But to your point, yeah, it is essentially, it comes down to a clash in the way that two different groups view the potential of Sam Darnold in this offense.
Yeah.
On the outside looking in, without giving it much of a second thought or a second glance, it is correct to say, oh boy, Sam Darnold's their starting quarterback. They don't get to fall back on this wildly talented 21, 22-year-old rookie. They just have to lean on Darnold and hope for 4 months. Yeah, we can write that team off. Mm-hmm. But when you dig a little bit deeper and you sit here and sports dads at practice, not that Darnold's been amazing at every practice, but you say, okay, this could actually be a career-changing opportunity for him, much like Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield. But that could also prove to not be the case. It could just be, hey, this should be a career-changing opportunity, and he's not good enough, or he's too damaged, and now they're over to Nick Mullins, and it's a whole train of bad quarterbacks.
This goes back to your point on, I believe it was the Friday episode, when you talked about what Stefanski did. Like, to go back to a Thursday with Thorsky, your statement, this is going to be in some ways a referendum on O'Connell, is absolutely true.
Yep.
Like the Wilfs don't say, well, Darnold sucks. That's too bad. The Wilfs are like, I've seen coaches around this league milk a quarterback or two for a lot. So like, this is a very, I think what we lose is, okay, the Vikings aren't expected to be good. Therefore it's not going to be a fun or interesting year. I totally disagree with that.
This ownership group has witnessed Brad Childress win 10 games with Tavares Jackson and Gus Frerotte, and Leslie Frazier win 10 games with Christian Ponder as a starting quarterback.
Yes, because the running back was so good. Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Well,
Exactly.
running back was really good, and then the
Yeah.
Vikings had a good defensive front, one of the best run-stopping defenses in the league in 2008, right? But this team has great defensive coordinator, Hall of Fame wide receiver, left tackle. Like, this team has, you could play the same game with the pieces around. Well, the only reason Frazier won is because of Peterson. Oh, yeah, but he had Peterson.
But he went to, right. Exactly.
So-
He find a way.
Yep. Corey Larson says, what if Lewis Cine develops into a starting player for the Bills? Would that make Kwesi look better and make the coaches look bad?
Okay, this is a layered question because Brian Flores, who I think is an outstanding defensive coordinator, clearly looked at Cine's skill set and I think his football aptitude and said he wouldn't fit in my defense. But if Cine is used exactly like he was at Georgia, and assuming that he wants to play, because he played a very, very physical, tough game, like I could see him being somewhat productive, but would I want him back in Flores's system, let's say above Josh Metellus? And I do think they drafted Cine with the thought process that he would play like Metellus does to a certain extent. The answer is no. So I'm not wishing bad on Cine. He was a bust here. But if he goes to Buffalo and is told, hey, you know what, dude, just go ball out. You know what, just go to safety, play deep, come in and smash guys. I don't think that is some like, oh my God, the Vikings should have done that. Brian Flores, I trust enough as a coordinator to know exactly what he wants. And so if Cine plays well, awesome. Still wouldn't have fit here.
And also, as a general manager making draft picks, if the player that you draft is only capable of playing one very rigid style of football at a non-premium position,
Yeah.
and any type of schematic change or coaching whim renders that player useless to you, should you have spent a first-round pick asset on that player?
Yeah,
Probably
exactly.
not, right?
Exactly.
So I would say it doesn't make anyone look like, if he goes and plays well somewhere else, it only makes people look bad in almost every single possible.
Yeah.
And even if he doesn't play well, like any circumstance, it's bad.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Let's see. Paul Peterson says, something has been on my mind for a while. Is Kevin O'Connell's system unnecessarily complicated? We have a lot of examples of quarterbacks saying how difficult the system is. I mean, Kirk kind of made those points. Mm-hmm. But when I watch it, it does not appear any more complex than the average offense, and certainly not the choreographed ballet that is peak 49ers. We don't set up screens or play actions or runs very well, so what are we getting from having a system that is, by all accounts, hard to understand? Think about this. When did Josh Dobbs play his absolute best? When he knew nothing about the system.
Correct.
His performance dropped every week as he tried to absorb this overstuffed, confusing offense.
Okay. Just to be very clear here, almost every offense in this league is probably too complex.
Except for the Steelers' offenses the last few years.
Yeah. But I mean, I've thought this for a long time. I think there's complexities that are not necessary. But let's break this down from what Kirk said, because I think that created confusion. If you guys recall, when O'Connell got the job, he talked about the illusion of complexity, which is, I want what I do to appear to be very, very complex, but at the end of the day, it's not. But the opponent's like, oh my God. I think the complex thing here, and this is why McCarthy will be hopefully so important, is finding the right quarterback to run it. And I mean, does that take a very, very smart person? Yeah, it does. Does that take a guy that can lead? Absolutely. I think what Kirk was saying in some ways, because Kirk said a lot of sort of backhanded things about assumptions about Kirk. So this was not about O'Connell. I think it was more to us. When O'Connell got the job, we all said, well, he was with O'Connell in Washington. This is going to be easy peasy. Mm-hmm. And two is he was right. Kirk was right. He's like, it wasn't. It's not. You don't know what you're talking about here. He didn't say that, but that's what Kirk was trying to say, in my opinion. And so do I think it's like too complex for the entire team? No, I don't. Unless I was, unless a player said, you're wrong about that. I've never got the feeling that it's too complex for the entire offensive roster. Do I think it takes a quarterback who is incredibly intelligent and can, as Childress said, spit the play out? Yeah, it does. But a lot of offenses, you can't tell me Sean McVay, Vinny, who's a good
Vinster.
boy.
It's not just Vinny.
What's up?
We have two dogs here. This is
Oh, you have
Finn.
two.
This is Vinny's brother. This is
Oh,
Vinny's
what's up?
brother Finn.
Finny and Vinny.
Finnegan and Vincent.
Whose dog is that?
That's mother-in-law's dog.
Oh, what a cutie.
Oh, the Finster and the Vinster.
Oh,
Yep,
hey,
they
Finny. Hey, Finny, what do you think? Too complex of offense.
And his collar is much more heavier and has like more things on it. So at night I gotta take it off. I just like I can't do the jingling. I can't.
I don't blame
stand
you.
it. So when I heard 8 paws come up the stairs between 2 dogs, like, oh, here they come.
Because I take Stella's off. I can't take
Vinny-
it.
Just
Vinny-
at night or
Pretty much unless we're going for a walk.
yeah.
Vinny needs it on. Like if you take his collar off, he will not calm down. He will stare at you until that thing's back on. He wants his collar on all the time. Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
See me
What if I
naked
get lost?
like this, huh?
What if I get lost? In the Woodbury. No one will find me. Stella shakes her neck continually, like she
so
always
does
is.
Vinny.
So it's like, I can't take that. But anyway, so to go back to it, I think from a quarterback standpoint, it is complex. But what I was going to say is you can't tell me that Sean McVay, whose system O'Connell comes from, is not equally as complex. So I would not dump on O'Connell for probably doing what a ton of coaches do and relying on his quarterback to execute it.
Yeah.
And Sam Darnold has he commented how complex it is? Has he commented that like it's more complex than something he's been before? I feel
The
like
only thing
hasn't.
in the springtime, I think it was after an OTA, he talked about the fact that he had made flashcards and was doing the dropbacks in his apartment.
He's also not really when you're Kirk Cousins and you're coming off like
Right.
4,000 yard seasons, I think you have the liberty to comment a little bit about how complicated the incoming offensive system is. When you're Sam Darnold and you're on your last possible chance to earn an NFL starting job, you're best served not telling the media how, this is crazy.
I got no clue what I'm doing out there, guys.
Swimming out here, man.
Seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
So, hey, Nicolay Law is supporting this Saturday Checkdown episode and the entire season for us at Purple Daily. We appreciate them. And they can support you if you or a loved one has been injured. That's when ordinary life can come to a stop. Things can get complicated. And Nicolay Law comes in here with all sorts of experience to help you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. So if you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay Law. Start your path to winning, nicolaylaw.com, or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. Also, from our guy, producer extraordinaire, Ross Brendel, we over at scorenorth.com/shop have all Before I Die merch currently on sale. T-shirts only $20. The crew neck sweatshirts $30 just in time for fall, and the hoodies are $40. The Before I Die, I think we have 3 different iterations going back a couple years of the Before I Die merch at scorenorth.com/shop, where you can find all sorts of things related to Purple Daily and Flagrant Howls and all things Score North. So, all right, we hope you guys have an enjoyable long Labor Day weekend. Get it out of your system now because football is
safe out there.
officially upon us.
Be safe out there. 1 week from Sunday, baby.
Gotta get the doc out on Monday. So that's
Boy,
This
see,
is
that's
it.
a lot. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work right there. That's why I personally wouldn't want to put the doc in because they.
I don't put the doc in.
Oh, you just help taking it out.
You should call Judd over there to help you
Hello.
do this.
No,
Need a beer?
no. I'm not doing any cabin. I will never do any cabin work.
You will enjoy other people's cabins
That's
if
what I do.
it's
I don't. You know what?
clean,
I
easy.
do.
I really don't. Like I've been to them before. They're fine. I prefer just to stay home.
You're good.
I
We
don't
should
like-
do.
Yeah,
we
I
should
don't wanna go
do.
anywhere.
We should do a bracket where it's like every single matchup is Judd stays home versus Judd does an activity, and see how many of the matchups are won by Judd stays home.
I will admit, Brainerd Lakes, if I can go to a cabin where it's like a hotel where I just pay to stay, I do enjoy that because that's a great part of the state.
Yeah.
But like if it was like, hey, come up to my cabin, I'd be like, I don't really want to.
Like Jesse Pierce just went solo camping like a week ago.
In the woods.
Okay, I got information on it.
Yeah.
It's because I thought the same thing. I said, do you go solo camping in the woods by yourself with like no one? There's some type of deal that she gets where it's in an area that is like rented out for camping.
Yeah.
So it's not like she's not going and putting up a tent in the.
Right. I got that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But it is bizarre. Like or not bizarre.
So she loves it
because she likes it. It's something I would never do. It's
God,
the best way I could say it.
Oh
yeah, like she just like ditches her family, says goodbye to the kids, and just takes off for a 4-day whatever it was.
Goes up there and like reads and does stuff. Good for her.
It's like her own darkness retreat.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, and I would never do it, but I actually, in this case, admire her for doing it.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's put together a bracket here. Like Sports Dad stays home or Sports Dad goes camping. Sports Dad stays home. Or Sports Dad goes to the Gophers Rhode Island tailgate next weekend and I want to see where
I did my tailgate, got poured on, went home, watched the loss.
Just like, are you still coming? I'm like, are you looking at the forecast?
Yeah.
No.
Are you there?
We had to get in our friend Ben's Gopher van.
Yeah, he said you just like sat in the van and waited out the storm.
We all did.
Yeah.
Like there was no like we fortunately didn't get hit by the worst stuff because I saw like across the street, tree down.
Yeah.
Like there was some more bad
GD
stuff.
grill tipped over and I was by myself trying to pick that thing back up.
Is it worth risking your life for a Gopher football tailgate?
It was fine. It was fine. Had a few beers after. Had like 3 beers left. Went home. Watched the game. What a meltdown.
Yeah. Anywho, enjoy your Labor Day weekend, folks, here at Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. The journey starts in a week.